Hello everyone and welcome to this video. Now today I'm going to be doing an album ranking for George Harrison, his solo albums after the Beatles. So conveniently there are 10 George Harrison solo albums. This will be my top 10 list of his albums. This list here won't be including the albums Wonderwall Music and Electronic Sound. Those two probably would come about 11 and 12th position like in this list anyway, so I'm not going to include them. I also don't have copies of them either. Also not including stuff like the Wilburys album or like Live in Japan or like anything of that nature, just the solo George Harrison albums. So now just get on with the list. Now that there at number 10 is the album Dark Horse here. Now this is really kind of a weak album. There's very few good songs on here, if any, actually. I do quite like the title, I quite like the title song, although his voice is absolutely awful on that. Also quite like the song Horizontal Express, the opening track. But apart from that, there isn't really anything too interesting or memorable on here. And also his voice mostly is really awful on here. And I like to add to that the song quality isn't quite there. So this is certainly easily one of the worst solo Beatles albums I've heard until this point. I mean, I'm not familiar with Ringo's albums, but I wouldn't be surprised if half of Ringo's albums are actually better than this one, to be honest with you. Right, number 9 on my list there is Extra Texture here. Now this is just a little bit better than Dark Horse. Has a couple slightly more stronger songs, including the opening song You, which I think is fantastic, and also This Guitar Can't Keep From Crying is quite a good track as well. However, there's still a lot of very sort of slow, meandering, dreary songs on here. That really don't do much for me personally. So again, another kind of weak album from George. That's the way it goes. Number 8 on my list here is going to be 1982's Gone Troppo album here. Recently reviewed this actually, and I gave it kind of a negative review, I feel. I think I said about half the tracks I actually kind of liked, and the other half were either forgettable or crap. But there's still a few decent ones on here. Wake Up My Love, That's the Way It Goes. That song Gone Troppo is pretty good as well, and I think was it Mystical One, I thought was quite a good song as well actually. But apart from that, again quite inconsistent. But we are getting better though, with George here. Next one here was a bit difficult to actually rank from beginning to change that with Gone Troppo, but it is Somewhere in England, 1981 I believe this is from. The reason why I'm putting this just a little bit higher is because it has two songs that I really like on here, which is all those years ago it was a hit single for George. I believe this reached number 2 in America, and also the song Teardrops, what was another single from the album, but it was a complete flop. But I don't really know why, because it is a great song actually. And the rest of the material I got here is there's probably a few good album cuts on here. But I haven't heard this album in quite a while though. I must I must admit. So I'm just looking at the song titles now, and there's not really any what are sort of jumping out at me at being as being great songs. But those two, All Those Years Ago and Teardrops, are both pretty good songs, I have to say. So now we're on to number 6 on my list, and I can say from here on, everything onwards is really good albums. But at number 6, some people might be surprised at how low I'm ranking this, because this is often seen as one of George's favourite albums, more loved albums. But I'm putting at number 6 Living in the Material World there, as you heard. And I've just not been able to really connect with this album that much. It's quite religious. like album, like in that sense, like the lyrics and that he's writing. But there are some great tunes on here, and the singer what you heard there, "Give Me Love, Give Me Peace on Earth," like is that one of George's best songs. Also has a couple of great album cuts as well. "Don't Let Me Wait Too Long" is like a great song, could have been a huge hit for George, I feel like, around this time. And like also the title song, "Living in the Material World," is like a great track as well. But there's just a few too many sort of slower songs, but there is some fantastic guitar playing like on this album though. That what was certainly missing from like the follow-ups, "Dark Horse" and "Extra Texture."
Never seen such a beautiful girl, got me shaking inside.
Number 5 now, we're at the midpoint of my list, and I'm going to go with the album 33 1/3. I think that this is really, really underrated. There are so many fantastic songs on here. Not only like the two sort of minor hits what he had, this song and Crackerbox Palace, what are both great. I also have the opener, "Woman Don't You Cry For Me," is quite Clapton-esque, I feel. And also the song "Beautiful Girl" is great as well. It's What You Value. Yeah, there's maybe like a couple of like tracks that I'm not as like big a fan of. Stuff like "True Love," "Pure Smoky," and "Learning How to Love You," like a couple of like the tracks on like side 2. Like I don't want to say lets the album down, but I just feel certain songs like aren't as good as like the standouts I could hear, but it's still a really, really, really great album.
All I got to do is to love you.
On to number 4, and one of my personal favourites from George here. Like all like and like I say, like all the albums that these 4 here are like some like the best solo Beatles albums that you'll ever hear. First one here is 1979's George Harrison's self-titled album, and this is really good again, like really like underrated, quite similar to like 33 like and a third. And there's so many fantastic songs on here, and "Love Comes to Everyone," really, really, really great song. "Not Guilty," that was a track that he had since the White Album sessions, and like so many like other great ones was like "Blow Away," "Faster," and "If You Believe." Yeah, like really like fantastic album. What I feel like should be much more like well known like in like Beatles community, because it's really, really fantastic.
Talking to myself.
Now on to number 4, no, number 3 actually, like on my list, is "Brainwashed." This was his posthumous album released in 2002, and this is really, really great, really consistent album. Like a lot of like the songs in there, like he'd been working on like pretty much since like the last album, Cloud 9. So that's like the quality like on here is like really, really, really great, and produced by Jeff Lynne and Danny Harrison. But like it doesn't have like Jeff's sort of like signature sound, but I feel that out of these songs that they don't need it, they're just really great songs like as they are, and like a fantastic album what like they managed to get like out of this. It's really, really, really great.
This is love. This is love.
Now my personal second favourite from George is the album Cloud 9 here, 1987. I believe this was his big comeback album. Features a lot of great songs here, notably the huge smash hit "Got My Mind Set on You," where George returns at the top of the charts. Also a lot of other great ones here on and back on here, "Cloud 9," "That's What It Takes," "Fish on the Sand," and "This Is Love." It's pretty much all side 1, and then there's also other great stuff like "Devil's Radio," "Someplace Else." So really, really, really consistent album. Again, produced with Jeff Lynne as well. So like pretty much like everything like Jeff Lynne touched like around like this period in time was like really, really, really fantastic. I believe that this was like the first again like long string of albums that Jeff Lynne produced for like other artists. Really, really great stuff on here.
My sweet Lord.
And finally, at number 1 here, no real surprise. I bet like you was all like expecting this here, but number 1 for me would be "All Things Must Pass," his solo debut from 1970. And this is a triple album, although it's not like a lot of people like hype it up to be like a triple album. It's not really, it's more just like a double album with a sort of like a third bonus disc. I don't like the bonus disc, but the double album what like you do get on here is almost flawless. I mean, there's only maybe about like 1 or 2 moments on it what like I'm not huge on, but it is just a great album though. there's nothing to show like on the back. Like anyway, I'm just gonna flip it around like that. But there's nothing to show. It's just a great album, and like certainly if you've not heard this, I would definitely check it out. Also has a lot of great hit singles on it as well. I'll just go through like the tracks, what you get with it here. Stuff like My Sweet Lord, Wah Wah, What Is Life, Beware of Darkness, and like the title song as well is exquisite. All these songs here like he've been stockpiling since like the end of like the Beatles days, and like they're all for the most part anyway 10 out of 10 flawless songs, what are certainly Beatles quality, certainly rivaling like anything what like Paul McCartney and like certainly John Lennon like was writing like around this time as well. So I hope you have enjoyed this about this little ranking of George Harrison's solo albums. I know I haven't done like one of these in like quite a while, but I'm hoping that like when I maybe get a bit more familiar with the likes of Tom Petty and The Who and like the Jam, I can maybe start doing like their albums ranking. But like as of yet, I haven't heard like them all, so they're all so like won't really be fair to do like a full ranking of them. But George Harrison has some fantastic albums and also some clunkers as well. So like it is like a mixed bag for like a solo career. But I certainly feel like the top about the top 5 like in like this list are all certainly worth checking out like if you haven't done so. So I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.